Hi guys, I'm Nicola McKenzie, founder and mortgage advisor here at Dunham McCarthy Mortgages. And in today's video, I will be explaining to you how exchange of contracts is no guarantee to completion when you are buying a property. And it's important that you understand this because you could see your house sale collapse or worse, be at risk of financial penalties and implications if you don't fully understand the implications of this. So to find out more, stay tuned. Before I get into the detail of today's video, if it's useful and you enjoy it, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future uploads. Now, I also have a video explaining the differences between exchange and completion. So if you want to know more about the detail and the differences between those two chain of events when you're buying a property, I would suggest you watch that video first and then come back here. Now, to give you a brief summary, exchange of contracts is an exchange of contracts, which makes the matter legally binding between the buyer and the seller. And it's one of the last stages of a property purchase. And essentially, I explain this stage as the point of no going back, if you like. This is when you are legally bound to purchase that property. Even if you change your mind, for whatever reason, you are legally committed to the purchase. Now, completion, on the other hand, this is the date when you're able to move into the new property. And this is the date when the parties will physically move and transfer funds and the legal ownership of the property. And typically you'll pay deposit on exchange, then the rest of the funds will be drawn down from the bank if you're using a mortgage on completion. Now, it's a common misunderstanding, at least in my experience. People often get confused between exchange of contracts and completion. And they think that once they've exchanged contracts that the purchase and sale is a done deal, and that's just not how it works. The reality is that the mortgage lender can withdraw a mortgage offer after exchange of contracts and all the way up until completion. So a mortgage offer, you have to understand, guys, is not a guarantee until completion, and not many people understand this. Now, the implications associated with this is that that could create a property chain to collapse. Obviously, any associated costs that you had paid up until that point, you may not see a refund on many of those fees, as well as possibly even risking losing your deposit. Now, in circumstances like this as well, depending on the scenario, if you were buying a property from a seller that's part of a chain, and if that seller encounters financial loss as a result of you not abiding by the purchase after exchange but before completion, then they can also reclaim some of their losses from you as well. So without meaning to put too much worry into you, but there are some potential serious financial consequences in a situation like this. Now, it's for this reason that it is wise in many cases to leave as short a time frame as possible between exchange of contracts and completion. I appreciate that that's not always practical, although that's sometimes easier said than done, but particularly where you're in a large part of a chain, where the more parties you have in a chain, the more room there is for that chain to collapse and throw up complication and delays. So leaving a shorter time scale in between the two is obviously going to mean less risk from that perspective. Now, if you are watching this video, then I assume that potentially you're looking to buy a property using a mortgage, move home, or review an existing mortgage. Now, if you trust the content on this channel and you've been finding it valuable and useful, then imagine the value that you would get from us helping you with your own mortgage. Now, we're here to help you get the best mortgage deal from thousands of products from lots of high street banks and building societies, as well as specialist lenders as well. Compare all of your options to find you the best deals. Now, head over to our website, dm.mortgage, and book in for a free of charge appointment today. We can help you no matter where you're based in the UK, and we can give you your options and provide you with advice so that you know exactly where to go and what to do next. And of course, if you're finding this video useful up until now, then you need to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss a future upload. But now let's get back to the video. Now, one thing you also have to bear in mind, obviously since the credit crunch back in 2008, Mortgage companies since then have tightened up. They are a lot more cautious, and therefore, you know, if you've had a mortgage offer, you could find yourself having that withdrawn because of a change in your circumstances that you're legally obliged to declare to the lender. So if your solicitor, conveyancer or mortgage broker becomes aware of a change, then they are really duty bound to inform the lender. So giving you an example of what a change in circumstances could look like. Let's say that you or your partner are buying a joint property and you've taken on significantly more debts than when you applied for the mortgage, or let's say that news of your employer reporting possible redundancies means that you are going to lose your job before completion of the property. A lender is not, if they become aware of that, necessarily going to advance the funds that they originally agreed to. Why would they do that? And bear in mind, completion is where the bank sends the money to the solicitor, not exchange. So that's why they're not going to continue committing to a mortgage if something drastic is going to impact on your ability to pay that mortgage. Now, what you have to bear in mind is that a mortgage offer usually stays valid for 6 months. So if completion as well is not within that time scale, the lender, and let's say the mortgage offer expires, then the lender will usually revisit your situation and expect you to demonstrate that you've still got the income and the circumstances as you did originally when you applied for the mortgage, for them to still grant you that mortgage, to renew the new mortgage offer. If your circumstances have changed, that doesn't automatically mean that you'll be declined for the mortgage, because of course it depends what's changed and how it's going to impact on you as to whether or not the lender will still offer you the mortgage this time around. But it is just something to be aware of. Now, like I said, guys, it's going to depend on what has changed in your situation as to how much it might impact on the agreement of the lender to still advance the funds. So I'll give you an example. Dealt with a client in the past whereby it was a joint mortgage, one of the two applicants then got notified that they would be made redundant. We had got to a mortgage offer stage. We hadn't actually got to exchange of contracts, but even if we had the same principle applies in this particular scenario. So one of the two parties were aware that they were going to lose their job, being duty bound to inform the lender. This is something that we had to navigate around. Now, the fortunate thing is here, the other applicant, their income was still enough to support that mortgage. The issue was that that particular lender that we'd had the mortgage agreed with wouldn't accept one of the two incomes in light of this new news. But again, with our experience and knowledge, we were able to sift through other alternative lenders and replace the mortgage with a lender that was comfortable with that situation. So I suppose the point I'm making here is that if your circumstances does change, my advice would be to speak to us as your mortgage broker as soon in the process as is practical, so that we can work out ways to navigate around this. And I appreciate, depending on what's changed, yes, that could pose a threat to the property transaction, but ultimately the sooner we become aware of it and we can navigate and fix it for you, then the less potential implication you're going to have further down the line. The further into the process, the worse it gets. And like I said, that real high risk time is where you've exchanged contracts but not yet completed, because at that point, that's where you're legally bound and that is where your deposit is at risk. So remember that exchange of contract is an agreement between the buyer and the seller, and that mortgage companies are not in any way bound by this agreement. You are only, if you like, certain to be able to do and move into the property on or after completion. That is when you can relax, so to speak. So in summary, many risks are posed when you are buying a property. And here at Dunham McCarthy Mortgages, we're not just here to get you the best mortgage deal. We are here to give you advice on the process, highlight pitfalls such as this one, and help you to navigate around the common pitfalls and obstacles that may present themselves whilst you are going through the house buying process. So If you want our advice, and if that video has been useful and you are looking to buy a property and you need a mortgage to facilitate you to do that, then head over to our website, which is dm.mortgage, and book in for a free of charge appointment, and we can help you, give you advice, compare mortgage deals from high street lenders and specialist lenders to get the option that's best for you in your circumstances. And of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss a future upload. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.